look at what's happening in the world, sometimes you just try to fight for some sort of distraction. You can't just be inundated all the time with bad news, horrible stuff and everything. And you know, I read a lot of news, I watch a lot of news, and sometimes you need a break. I was trying to take a break. I was on my phone. Terrible idea. But as I was on my phone, I saw something. Blew my mind. I like to watch combat sports. I like watching boxing, MMA, and stuff like that because I look at all of them as chess matches. I look at all of them as these like physical chess matches with immediate consequences that are basically one skill set against another skill set and what's going to happen, right? And so I was scrolling on my phone and I saw this match between what looked like two heavyweights. And one guy, you know, they were at that point where they were clearly tired and clearly like leaning on each other and everything, but not hugging yet, just like gloves to gloves. And then one guy threw I think it was a hook, and hit the other guy pretty clean. And his hair came off. This is the point where the audience is split between people who saw the video and people who didn't see the video. All right. In case you didn't see the video, I can describe it for you. Yeah, it was these two big old dudes, big guys, heavyweights. And he got punched, and his hair also, you know, like the reverb, you know, like he got punched and then his hair reacted. And when I was watching this clip, I'm not gonna lie, I did a double take. I was like, what did I just see? You know, some people obviously have watched the video. I've watched it 6,000 times. This is crazy. Because when you watch that clip, when you watch the video, you're watching two fights. The first fight is between what looks like two heavyweights. The second fight is his hair trying to stay on his head. And believe me when I tell you it was a battle, because that first punch, he got hit, and then he took the punch, right? Absorbed it. Like, you know, you a big man used to taking big punches. That was nothing to him. He ate that one. But his hair, he got punched, but then his hair, you could see it in the video. His hair like, ow! And then he backed up a little bit. Man went ahead and punched him again. And one of the things I like about watching combat sports is you also get to see some of the preparation if they've made one of those mini docs ahead of time and everything. And then sometimes, depending on what promotion you're watching, they'll even give you some audio during the fight of the corner. What they're yelling at their fighter, whether it's instructions, whether it's encouragement, things that they shouldn't be doing. You know, you hear all of it. And I wonder if it could talk, I wonder what the toupee would have been saying. Because you know that toupee trying to coach. It was trying to, hey, move. You need to cover up. He hitting us. Because that second punch landed. And you saw him once again. He didn't seem too hurt. He was over here, ooh, right? But his hair. And once again, he sort of absorbed it. I don't know how hurt he really was. It felt like you could see the toupee going, oh no! You see it go higher. It went further back. This toupee must have snapped its spine because he got hit again and you saw the toupee like, pow! You gotta think about this thing from the other fighter's perspective for a second. Imagine you over here, you're a prize fighter, fighting another prize fighter, and y'all going at it. And then you punch him. And his hair comes off. I think if that happened to me, I would be like, I didn't know. They're already fighting. They're already trying to do each other bodily harm anyway. But that is such a weird thing to have happen. It's not even part of a threat. You see people out, like you might see people out in the streets, out in a bar, getting ready to fight, and you've seen it, especially when dudes about to fight. They're yelling all sorts of threats at each other. You know, I'm gonna bust you up, I'm gonna bust your head open, I'm gonna kill you, and all this. Never ever heard two men ready to fight, mad enough to beat each other down. Never have I heard anybody go, I'm gonna knock your hair clean off. Believe that. Doesn't happen. Yeah, his hair got knocked off and it landed outside the ring. And somebody picked it up and put it in an empty seat. When you're fighting, you obviously, in any fight you engage in, you're trying to win, and if you are losing a fight, it can be devastating for you. It can be embarrassing, especially depending on who it's in front of. Is it in front of your friends? Is it in front of someone that you like, you know? Especially, I can't imagine fighting in front of a crowd and maybe not having the tools that you thought you had, maybe underestimating your opponent, and then they take advantage of a moment and maybe you get knocked out, whatever. I can't imagine the pressure of having people watch you fight. Or even if you're just out in the world and you're fighting in front of people that you might be trying to defend or you care about and you're losing. But it's even harder to imagine what it's like to have your toupee sitting ringside. I think about it from his perspective, you know. He's over here fighting his best, trying his best, going at it. and then he gets hit. And maybe it was a hit that he didn't see coming. I wonder, did he think to himself when he got hit, whew, the room just got a little colder. Yeah, turn the air on in here. This is crazy. No. I think the only thing worse than getting your toupee knocked off during a televised fight is getting knocked off by a bald man. Like the dude that... Once again, you never see two dudes out ready to fight, mad enough to beat each other down. You never see those two dudes going at it, and then before they fight, one says to the other, when I get done with you, you're gonna look like me. Oh. But you can't avoid the news forever. You can't, you know. This Epstein thing. 3.5 million more documents dropped. And that's basically like a total of like 6 million, because you gotta remember the millions that they kept finding after they said that there wasn't anything. Never. Even the history of the lottery, no one's ever been like, no, there's nothing here. Actually, there's millions, my bad. Remember, there was nothing for like a while, and then they were like, oh, we found a couple million, oh, we found 2 million. All right, look, this is embarrassing to admit. We did find 3.5 more million. I know, it's hard to tell if we're incompetent or we're lying. I know. This is very difficult. And it's insane to see what they talk like when they think that no one is listening. Because this is actually a whole... It is like a whole conspiracy. This is the thing that gets to me about what's happening right now. All right? Is that based on... I'm not acting like I read 3.5 million documents. Just based on what I've read so far, I actually owe a lot of the conspiracy theorists I know an apology. GIB, it's very hard for me when it comes to the everything's connected people, you know? Because not everything feels connected. You know, you'll have people who are like, it's all connected. It's all connected, all right? All of it. Jean Benet, 9/11, and the tiger that went missing at the zoo. It's all connected. That's the other thing about my friends who say it's all connected. They stare, and it's like, if you would blink, I might be on board quicker. But the way that you can't just tell somebody, so even if it's a fact, even if you're telling somebody the truth, you could be telling somebody the full truth. If you stare, it does take them out of what the truth is. You gotta stop. You might tell someone a fact, a thing that they know to be true, but if you stare afterwards, you kill your own momentum. You could be looking at your friend. It's Tuesday. Do you see how I don't care what day it is for a second? No, usually it's all connected people lose steam. Because even if they've got something going on with, okay, this is the other thing. I'm trying to help. This is me trying to help, all right? Even if things are all connected, okay? Y'all gotta get the yarn more organized. If you bring me into a room and there's pictures everywhere, but the yarn doing this, see how it's hard to follow? Because admittedly, the same thing that you're doing is what like the CIA, the FBI, like any investigative body does, except they just put the thing in the middle. And then they have all the other yarn pointing from that thing. So then you're like, huh, looks like that's the guy. You know, like you saw some of this broken down in timelines on the news, and they did that. They had Epstein in the middle, and then they had lines connecting to other people. And it was simple. You see Epstein in the middle, you see all the lines from them to Epstein. And maybe you could make some distinctions. Like, oh, from him to him to him, okay. It wasn't over here, then over here, then over here, then over here, then over here. It's too hard to follow. And so I took my pride and I tried to swallow it, and I knew that, I have to apologize to some people who have been saying so many things, were connected for a very long time. And I was like, all right, time to do it. I'm gonna see him. I know he's gonna be like, well. You know. And one of the most frustrating things about what is happening in this moment right now in front of us is that the same people, not all, but a lot of the same people who have always said it's all connected and look at this and blah, 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 like all that stuff, the people who, like, when you look at everything, do seem to have been right, you go to apologize to them and then they're like, oh no, not this. No, not the guy I like. No, there's no way. No, no. This was literally your whole thing. This was your whole thing for like a decade, and now, because it's the guy you like, all right, whatever. That would be like if someone came to you and said, I have proof that there are aliens in the universe, in another galaxy. They live like sentient beings. They're just like us, but in their own alien way. And I'm telling you, they're out there, right? I know that they're out there. And maybe you made fun of this person, maybe you ignored this person. And then finally one day, the sky opens up. A ship comes down low into the atmosphere. And then from that ship, little pods come out of that ship and they land here on Earth. When the pods open, these creatures step out. Huh? Aliens. And just when you go to apologize to your friend who's been saying for like a decade or more that there were aliens, right as you're about to fix your lips to say, I'm so sorry that I didn't believe you, he goes, oh no, the ones I was talking about were green. These don't even look like aliens to me. If I'm being honest with you, I don't think that's, no, they faking it. That's a dude in a costume, I think. That's not a spaceship, that's a drone. You never seen a drone before? No, because when you look at these files and you look at the correspondence between Epstein and these other people, another thing that is very important to remember for all of us, because for so long, as Americans, we've sort of equated money and any form of success with intelligence. We have sort of built up a meritocracy that doesn't exist. And so we see someone, if they have $1 billion, we're like, oh, they must deserve $1 billion. If they have more money than we could ever imagine, they must have like earned it somehow. They must be so smart that they just put it together. And maybe I'll be just like them one day and I'll be able to put it together. And maybe I can work my way up to get to their level. And one of the things about reading these emails that should be apparently, it should be so clear to you when you read some of the correspondence between these people is that these billionaires, these tech bros, these elite cannot spell. They cannot spell. They cannot spell. They probably cannot spell. They cannot spell. It is crazy. It's hard to read. It almost gives them some plausible deniability. If they were brought into court and told to read what they wrote, they might be like, I don't know what this is, to be honest with you. I don't know. They cannot. Predators that cannot read. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. I was reading some of the emails. I was like, y'all not embarrassed? It's not even in code. It's literally them being like, oh, would be great to see. Just the letter C. Oh, it's insane. We over here. We're over here trying to make sure we don't misspell anything. We even using AI sometimes in our emails to proofread before we send it. We always want to seem professional. We always want to have our stuff checked so that we can look like we know what we're talking about when we talk about things. Meanwhile, some of the richest people in the world over here misspelling vacation. Never think they're better than you. Never, never, never. You read some of these emails, especially, like when you really focus on the emails, because they have released, in some instances unredacted, they've released emails that were just drafts that Jeffrey Epstein saved, right? So you get to see some of the things that he wrote out that he maybe never even sent, but you see some of his like attempts at blackmail and some of his plans for people, you know. You also see emails. A lot of emails from Elon.
He's lonely.
Elon, but okay. Remember when Elon got into it with Trump, and then he was like, time to drop the big bomb that Trump is in the Epstein files. That's why I haven't come out yet. And, you know, he tried to do that mic drop, and then. How stupid do you have to be? You didn't just throw stones while you lived in a glass house. You seem to have thrown the stone through your glass floor. This dude emailed Jeffrey Epstein and was over here. Hey, I'm looking to spend some time, have a vacation. It'd be great to hang out at the island with you. Like, you want to hang out at the island? I'd love to come to the island with you. And the girls, there'll be girls there. So let's go to I want to hang out at your island with you. And we'll do whatever stuff. I mean, I want to go crazy too. So whatever stuff you do, that's what I want to do. I want to do all the stuff that you do with the girls at your island. I want to be with you at your island doing stuff and whatever stuff you have in mind, like crazy stuff. Let's lose our minds. Let's go crazy together at your island. I'm surprised that Jeffrey Epstein did not think Elon Musk was the police. The way that this man was emailing so thirsty. This is the most narc email I've ever seen in my life. This man, oh no, with you and the girls, you know, because there'll be girls there, right? It's like, I've never seen somebody send an email like they were wearing a wire. Absolutely insane. And Epstein was one of those dudes, sure, he couldn't spell. But he knew he was the devil. And he also knew, you know, okay, I shouldn't email plainly with everybody. And so he sends an email back to Elon that this is not the exact email, but it's like the gist of it is, you know, oh yeah, it'd be great to hang out and do some math together. Just throw something out there. Wink, wink. And it's hard to do a wink, wink with a man who doesn't blink. Because then Elon's like, why would I want to do math when I could be hanging out with the girls and you at the island? I don't want to do math. I want to be with the girls at the island with you. No, it'd be so fun. Look, we'll come over to the island where the girls are. You got girls, right? Yeah. This happened a couple times between Elon and Epstein. And Epstein would try to throw in like, you know, some sort of like red herring or something, and Elon wouldn't catch on. And then finally he got to be like, do you think I'm stupid? No, I don't want to do math. I'm clearly like into doing the thing that you said, but just stop emailing like that. There was one time he was over here, man, I would love to come to the island with the girls and you. Be fun, be together, yeah, like bros with the girls at the island. We'll do whatever bad stuff you want to do, whatever you normally do. I'm here to have fun, so whatever you do, you know, I just want to hang out at your house with you and do whatever it is that you do. Heard great stories. And Epstein emailed back, and he was like, actually, I'm gonna be out of town. I can't. Look, I personally think that Elon is like one of the biggest criminals in human history because he's got so much power and he has so much money that even on a whim, even something as simple as a mistake that he could make could affect so many lives. He affects millions of people, and he does it, and he doesn't really care about the people that he affects. And so all of these bad things that happen, you can lay them at his feet. They are his fault, you know? The things that Doge has cut, the things that we're gonna see as a result of those cuts, that is him. That's fully him. And so the only thing to me that is worse than being like a predator criminal is being a predator criminal that other predator criminals don't want to hang out with. Like that's wild. This man was thirsty, and they were like, ugh. Like you, we're talking about Epstein. We're talking about that you have to take one of the deepest looks in human history at yourself. If actual pedophiles are like, ugh, it's just the worst. Do you realize how insane that is? An actual secret cabal, like a secret cabal of trafficking predators have a group chat without you in it. That is insane. And then Elon over here, once the files drop, because he's been big on anybody else who was in the files. I'm big on anybody else who might even have that suspicion of being in the files. He loved to throw as many people as he could under the bus or use it as his own weapon to attack people's reputation. And I'm not defending anybody. If they're in the files and he was going after them, then let them go after each other. I don't care. I'm just saying that like that's a wild thing to do when you know you're in the files. In the files a lot. Like, you know what I mean? Like for his part, Trump has at least been acting like somebody who's in the files and doesn't want the files to come out. Like that's a wild thing for Elon to be like, he in there and he in there too. Because then Elon comes out spinning out when this DOJ drop happens. And he's like, if I wanted to hang out with young girls, I didn't need a creep like Epstein's help. How are you not in jail? How are you not in jail? How are you this bad? That's insane. That would be like you're sitting on the stand, and the prosecutor's coming after you, and he's like, these are your co-conspirators, right? You know, he's the mastermind right there. You've already said to the police, you've already given your testimony that this man was the ringleader. And then you go, I didn't need him to do it. I could do it all by myself. No. Look, okay. Listen to me. I'm gonna tell you a story. We're gonna get through it together. I have some family down south, and my family down south, one of them moved into this nice suburban neighborhood, you know, and it was picturesque. It's one of those things that are like real slice of America type place, something out of like a sitcom or a CBS drama. And it was one of those neighborhoods where, you know, there'd be like nice little neighborhood cookout once a month. People come over, cook their specialties. You know, people mostly hang out with each other, do little potlucks and everything. And he had a neighbor, maybe 2-3 doors down. And this neighbor was married, but he was also having an affair. Yeah. And one weekend, when his wife was out of town, his mistress came over. Mistress comes over, and they spend a little time together. And apparently what happened was the mistress said, I think it's time for you to leave your wife and be with me. And he said, oh, funny that you say that, because the reason that I called you here is I think it's time for us to break up. And his mistress killed him, all right? I know this is a very scary story. I'm in Atlantic City. Some of you are here with your mistresses right now. But anyway. So the mistress took him out, right? And then she went outside and smoked a cigarette. This is actually what got her caught, because there was, you know, people passing by in the neighborhood, and they were like, why is this woman in lingerie smoking a cigarette outside of Larry's house? And she even finished the cigarette. She came outside, you know, maybe calm her nerves, smoked a little bit, put it out, and went back upstairs, and I'm not totally sure how she did it, but apparently she revived him. She like resuscitated him. Yeah, gave him like CPR. Woke back up, and I'm not gonna lie, I feel like if you kill somebody but you also revive them, that should break you even. Like that does seem, it's already so unlikely. Why fill out the paperwork? You did it, but you brought them back. Imagine that. Imagine if somebody kill you and then bring you back, and then you just pick up the argument where you left off. Like it's, they over here. And you're like, and another thing. That's wild. Yeah, and then she brought him back.
How'd she kill him?
And then she did kill him again. And that feels excessive. Mad. Imagine being that mad. You already got him. Bring him back. Then, I don't know, maybe I'll argue some more. Maybe you're like, no, I was right. The whole reason I tell you that story is that when I first heard it, I couldn't believe that somebody would ever be that mad. You know, you got him. They brought him back. I think you could probably call it good. I had never understood it. When I first heard that story, I was like, that seems so insane. There's so much anger to do that. Most people can't muster up to do it once. And you did it twice in the same 10 minutes. Truly, I never really understood what would make somebody do that. Until I was reading in the Epstein files, how did Melinda Gates not kill Bill twice? Man, okay, I don't know if you've read the part, but look, Bill Gates was cheating on Melinda Gates, apparently cheating on her a decent amount, and it's one thing. Look, cheating is already very bad. Cheating is already wrong, and it breaks up lives and it breaks people's hearts and stuff. But getting cheated on by Bill Gates feels extra. Yeah, I mean, okay, let's say I happen to be with Dua Lipa and she cheat on me, right? I'd have to take that one on the chin. I'd be like, all right, but you Dua Lipa. I'm surprised you're not, I'm just happy for the time we spend together, Dua Lipa. You know what I mean? You know, like, cause even if she was like, hey, I did this thing, I feel really bad, and I'm be like, oh, with who? And she's like, I don't know, list another like A-list celebrity. I'd be like, you know him? You know, like. But getting cheated on by Bill Gates, I'd be so mad. I'd be like, you already Bill Gates. You lucky I'm here. No, cheated on by Bill Gates. Ugh. And so apparently this is like the timeline that's been strung together. Bill Gates denies all this stuff, just so you know, right? But basically, the timeline that seems to have been established is that Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Gates were hanging out, and Epstein got women and or girls for Bill Gates, and at one point, Bill Gates contracted an STI. And he didn't want Melinda Gates to find out. And so there's literally them going back and forth, Epstein and Bill Gates, about ways that Bill Gates can try to get antibiotics into Melinda Gates' food so she won't get it. I'm not a doctor. But if you trying to spike somebody's food with antibiotics, they gotta have pretty much the same meal for a while, right? Like that. Yeah, this dude was out here. He was a fiend. He was over here hanging with Epstein. Epstein was helping him do all this stuff. Epstein, I don't know if he fully introduced him to one of the mistresses, but at one point, Bill Gates was sleeping with his bridge coach. You know, bridge. In fact, if I read this right, Epstein got Bill Gates Adderall so he could play bridge better. This is why nobody should have $1 billion. You got all this money and you taking Adderall to play bridge better. You wasting it. You wasting, I can tell you wasting billions of dollars right now out here buying all the farmland and then paying for Adderall so you can play better at bridge. What a loser. You realize you out here taking performance-enhancing drugs for bridge. You know bridge, you know the #1 pastime of nursing homes everywhere. How does that even help you? People sitting there, wow, he puts the cars down so fast. Ugh. Teaching Bill Gates' bridge. And that's when he makes his move on you. Yeah, because you know how romantic bridge is. You know, sometimes you got the cards in your hands, you can barely contain yourself. That's wild. And then Epstein was over here talking about how that relationship fizzled out. He said that Bill Gates left her penniless on her friend's couch. Said that the richest man in the world was a total cheapskate. And said that, you know, she needed money and Epstein gave her some. Do you know what that says about you? That you out here not only cheating on your wife, but leaving your mistress penniless, and Epstein helps her out. The whole thing is so insane, you know? Because I don't know what any of it will amount to or will mean. In other countries, there seem to be some real consequences starting. There's like real investigations starting, and then people are like stepping down or losing jobs and everything. And here, we're acting like we don't know what to do. That's insane. That doesn't make any sense. Just do whatever any of the countries does that does something about this. What should we do? I don't know. I mean, yeah, Congress needs to do their job, but I just don't think that's enough. I feel like if you are in the Epstein files, you know, some of these people aren't politicians. Some of these people aren't, you know, holding a public office that can be held to account like that, you know? No, I'm with you. I'm saying that if you see somebody, John Cena? I feel like, guys, I got this. Now we're just getting confused. Like, none of this is part of it. I was trying to lead to something, but yeah. Whoever, and yeah. No, it would be, as long as John Cena's not in the files, it would be great if people in the files just were walking around and living their lives thinking that they got away with this thing, and just when they think they're in the clear, somebody in the Epstein files, you know, and all thousands of them, you know, walking around, and maybe John Cena rolls up behind them and knocks their hair clean off.